Hello and welcome to Hugh's Reviews, the place for movie views and spoiler clues. Get your trick-or-treat bags out and stir up the cauldron. We're getting spooky, kids. All the way back in 1938, a fella named Charles Addams came up with a cute little comic strip. It starred your typical nuclear family with a mom, dad, and two kids. There was just one little twist. While Joe and Jane America wear conservative clothes and tend the lawn, Gomez and Morticia don funereal blacks and behead roses. While little Timmy and Betsy may play with the dog, Pugsley and Wednesday frolic with monsters. Welcome to the Addams Family. It may sound like a one-trick pony that folks of the time would either find distastefully gothic or soon grow tired of, but somehow the Addams Family struck a chord with American readers, and it has endured in one form or another for longer than anyone, including the originator, could have dreamed. In the intervening decades, the Addamses have been portrayed in any number of incarnations, including a 1960s TV show starring the enthusiastically sweet John Astin and the lovely and understated Carolyn Jones, to a couple of live-action films in the 90s starring the incomparably powerful and bombastic Raul Julia and the svelte and demure Angelica Houston. And now in 2019, we have an animated attempt at resurrecting the Addamses from their pop culture sepulcher. So, did the film shine like a newly minted tombstone, or did it rot like a sweet-smelling bog? The answer is a little thorny. The film opens on Gomez and Morticia's wedding day, which is soon invaded by rioting townsfolk with torches and pitchforks. They flee the old country and wind up settling in an abandoned gothic insane asylum with their Frankenstein's monster of a butler, Lurch. There they start a family and live for many fiendishly happy years in isolation from the world that drove them away. Some of the best moments in the film are to be found in these first 20 minutes. The animators most certainly did their homework, and the character designs are reminiscent of not only the original comic strip, but also give hints at the incarnations we have seen since. But they don't do much more with the concept after that. Perhaps that is the greatest weakness of any presentation of the Addams Family over the years. They're a lot of fun, but what do you do with your family of freaks once you've given them life? Well, typically the answer is to introduce them to average folks and watch the worlds collide, creating conflict and humor by juxtaposition. This is the way they were intended to work after all. So how's that thread handled here? Well, unfortunately, the promising first act is followed by a lackluster series of on-the-nose script choices that hold it back from greatness. You see, it turns out that a model suburban village has paved over their once treasured foggy marshes, and now they have neighbors, led by an HGTV-esque remodel show host played by Allison Janney. At first I was intrigued at how Gomez and Morticia would handle Jamie's arrogantly perfectionist Margot. I was even interested in how Wednesday and Pugsley would handle their respective challenges once confronted with the outside world. It's a good concept, but the core of the story fell into lazy land real fast. When the Addamses arrive in the newly formed town of Assimilation, which, was a pun that could have been done better, they find some folks going about their day, and the over-the-top hyper-realism the animation tried to suggest previously is ruined by the all-too-weak lack of reaction from the townsfolk. I understand that real people in that situation would rather avoid eye contact and walk away than have huge reactions, but you can't go from over-the-top to almost nothing in a few cuts and expect your tone to hold. What we should have seen was the town people overreacting, freaking out and panicking, or being overly forwardly accepting in spite of themselves, and then being repulsed by the Addamses' cheerful vulgarity. Then, as the Addamses are more and more confronted with the manufactured normalcy of the town, they should express pity for the stuffy people they meet, as though the bland townsfolk are the weirdos, and the freaky Addamses are the baseline for normal. And then we could truly find ourselves in the mindset of an Addams, as opposed to being blandly and safely entertained. In this respect, the 1990s film's outshone this weak attempt by a long shot. If the townsfolk had been pushed a little farther into parody, it might have played as clever instead of weakly simpering simplistic baby talk. You see, throughout the movie, you are literally told, repeatedly, to always be yourself and never conform. And that's a fine message, but there's no clever undertone here. It's all on the surface and blatant. Want to show how social media can be manipulative? Then literally show someone manipulating it. Want to show how conformed and dull the assimilation townsfolk are? Then have a group of kids literally sing a song about how being different is bad. Want to make your point that people are people and we can all just get along in spite of our differences? Give a PowerPoint presentation level speech at the end that would fall flat in a grade school play. This is Baby's first diversity primer, which is odd considering how few ethnic characters are in the film. But what do you expect from a movie directed by a man who, up to this point, is mostly known for doing episodes of Thomas the Tank Engine, and writers who are known for literally nothing of note? The acting is on point, the character designs are fantastic, the sound design is on point, but the script is baby talk for babies, and there's no getting around that. It comes across as a weak Despicable Me sequel that was repurposed. For a film that is constantly telling us to be ourselves, it spends so much time playing it safe that the message is completely undercut by the paint-by-numbers plot. Even the examples given in the film of how to hold true to your personal values is undercut by the mishandling of the main characters. You see, the point of the Addams Family has always been that they are a spooky, kooky, and altogether ooky reflection of the supposed suburban ideal. Though seeming to be freaks and weirdos, they are a perfectly balanced and happy family. Gomez Addams is supposed to be a confident and strong family man, unabashedly in love with his bride and deeply involved in his kids' upbringing. Morticia is supposed to be the cool-headed mother who, gently though firmly, chides her children and teaches them manners and propriety. Firstborn daughter Wednesday is always the dutiful young lady, the smartest of the bunch, who knows her family is the best and will always protect them from themselves. And then you got little Pugsley, who is a scamp who causes trouble, means well enough, and in the end knows daddy and mummy know best. Take away the weird names and you've got a 1950s sitcom just waiting to happen. Well, that got thrown out with this film. In this film, Gomez is a haphazard bubblehead who is only concerned with what the rest of his extended family thinks. Morticia is a fretful and overprotective mother. Wednesday is a rebellious and mouthy teen, and Pugsley is a flippant dope who ignores his father's guidance. This version is no longer a kooky and ooky spin on the nuclear family, but a slightly off-center commentary on modern life. And perhaps the writers thought this would be a bold update. But the script is so bland that this is less the Addams Family and more of a Treehouse of Horrors Simpsons parody. There are a lot of threads involving homeschooling, teen angst, rocky marriages, social media, and the starbucking of society. I appreciate the layering, but it's not done with any kind of finesse. The older versions are pretty dated, but there's something about them that felt more true and self-assured. And where the older versions became dated after a decade, this version will become dated within a few years. Don't get me wrong, the movie is fun for what it is, and it did get quite a few laughs out of me. The voice acting by Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron as Gomez and Morticia was wonderful, and Nick Kroll and Bette Midler as Uncle Fester and Grandma Addams were so fresh and fun that I was certain hardcore voice actors were playing the parts. The only casting issue I had was Snoop Dogg as Cousin It. I mean, seriously, the only notable ethnic actor in the film is hired to deliver indecipherable squeaks any child could do? What a waste! And in the end, that's what this movie is. An entertaining waste of a good opportunity. I do not blame the actors, designers, or animators for hampering what could have been a great movie. I blame the writers. The problem with a lot of remakes or reimaginings is that the hard work is usually already done for you. All you have to do is wrap up the characters in a new story, so typically you get some pretty lazy writing to do a cash-in. The writers here had 80 years of back work fleshing out their characters to steal from, and they did some pretty decent thievery, but this is sort of writing by committee, and that never gives you a great movie, merely a broadly acceptable one. I had fun, yes, but I won't bother to watch it again, as there is nothing here to warrant multiple viewings. It's fun, it's disposable, it's over, move on. And that is it tonight for Hugh's Reviews. Thanks for tuning in at our new time, and keep listening for updates on how you can hear some of the old archived reviews. As always, I'd like to thank our underwriters at Moons of Vega Photography and our technical support team at the Central PA Computer Nerd. To the rest of the best, and that means you, happy viewing.